Sometimes people think that we're, of the new age ilk. Sometimes people think we're a bit wacky. Sometimes they think that we're kind of hippie Earth Mama ones. And of the three, I would fit only the last category. You can ask my 5 kids, one of them attends here, if I'm in that category, yes. We don't have goats in our backyard, almost, right? Of the other two, not so much. Basically, the holistic part means that we are about food, but why I suggest that it should actually be called this beyond nutrition is that rather than simply going with, say, a canned food guide or a U.S. food pyramid, or all the different things that are used in the different kind of third world countries of the world, there's a lot beyond that that has to do with how well we are and whether we live at optimal wellness, whether we have great stamina, whether we're able to do athletic things great, whether we can actually function really well in an exam and retain all the information that we have. So today we're going to talk about beyond that. But before I do that, I have a quick question. Actually, 2 things. First thing I'm going to do is ask you all to put your think caps on for 1 minute. I need you to give me a ranking of your own self. So between 1 to 10, I need a show of hands in a minute. 1 being, or even 0, meaning you wouldn't know a vegetable but hit you in the head and you think that McDonald's combo 2 is one of the 4 food groups. Okay, so that would be 1. 10 would be that whole, you came from a place where you guys grew your own vegetables, you have cows, you milk them, you made your own cheese and butter, and actually your hoodie is made out of goat fur. Okay, so that would be a 10, all right? So how many, 1 to 3s do I have? And I love 1 to 3s, by the way, because they're very easy to move along the journey, okay? So I have any 1 to 3s. Great, okay. I knew this was a compulsory course, so I wasn't sure that people in here really didn't want to be in here. Okay, 4 to 7s, kind of that middle of the road kind of thing, Excellent, okay. And I actually have some cleaners. I have some 8, 9s, and 10s here. Few of you? Excellent, okay. And this helps me figure out how to answer. Okay, the best description I've ever had of a holistic nutritionist was given by a kindergartner in an Abbotsford school a couple years ago. The teacher brought them into the music room, and these kids are wandering in, staring up the sky and the ceiling and the music notes on the walls. She sat them all on those little bleachers that you have in music rooms, and she said to me, "This is Mrs. W. She's going to come and talk to you today. She's a nutritionist." She said she's a holistic nutritionist. So I asked these kids, what do you think a holistic nutritionist is? Most of them continue to stare around the room. A few are picking their noses. A couple wish they were in the playground. There's this little girl in the very back of the bleachers, and she is throwing her arm violently in the air. I'm waiting for her to go tumbling off and have some major concussions. So I'm like, okay. What is a nutritionist? And, she was obviously aspiring for the theater department at Trinity because she had this dramatic pause, just this, big breath. Makes so everyone in the room is, silent. And she says, "You eat peas and apples and you make other people eat them too." And I was like, yes, I'm going to change my business cards, okay? So she really nailed it on the head. We are about food. We're about encouraging other people to eat healthily. We're about teaching them, actually working ourselves out of a job so you know what to do, and sending you on your way. Now, as diverse as my job is described, is probably the diversity of clients I see in my practice, okay? So I see everything from people that are trying to lose weight to high-level athletes that are trying to improve their stamina and their endurance on the court, to people that have digestive troubles, to women who are pregnant or unable to get pregnant, to asthma, allergies, the whole gamut, okay? And the reality is that form you're filling out is one of the key things that I use to help people determine how to eat and live in a lifestyle that actually is going to bring them optimal health. How I do that is by having them fill a bunch of intake forms. You're doing 1. I have them usually do about 10 that cover a wide range of things. And depending upon how fast I speak, we might be able to fit in a few more forms at the end. But the one that I'm going to mainly focus on today is that dietary needs assessment that you have. All right? And the reason that you're actually filling that out is if I would have come and talked to you 15 years ago, I wouldn't have brought that with me. I would have come in and given you a nice little lecture, very similar to what the dietitian did beforehand. Actually, she had some great information in there. So, how to line up food in your plate, what sources of protein are, stay away from chemicals and aspartame and Splenda, stick with whole food, real food. That was very much what I was doing. And in addition, I was moving all of my clients and my family to a vegetarian diet. We had vegetarian for a couple of years. All of the information I had studied, and you always study information to support what you believe, okay? But everything I studied said it was the best way to live, best source environmentally for the land, best way to eat the right amounts of fats, all those kind of things. I mentioned we have 5 kids. I also have a very huge husband who is about 6'2", excuse me, 240 at his right weight, played university basketball, college football. I have no idea what I was thinking this ex-German, waist the size of my thighs guy would make a good vegetarian, all right? So about year 1.5, I'm having to pay attention to the fact that, number one, he's gained about 20 pounds. Number two, he is constantly starving from the second he eats our lovely vegetarian whole grain, breakfast with smoothie and whatever. He's eating his lunch on the way to work in the car, and he is lethargic, procrastinating on things, and really, really cranky. So I start thinking, maybe we're not doing something right here. This is an immaculate vegetarian diet. We stepped up to the best scrutiny around. Something is wrong with this picture. Did a little bit more research, came across a book called Your Body Knows Best by Annalise Gittleman, which went through the pondering questions of maybe everyone is not meant to eat the same type of diet, whether it's a vegetarian diet, whether it's a canned food diet. Take a look around the room, take a look at ethnic origin, take a look at size, shape. Maybe we need to be fine-tuning things a little bit. And that's what sent me on the journey. The questionnaire that you're doing is very similar to the questionnaire I gave my husband, Mark. When you're finished with it, I don't want to skew it for you now, but basically when you're done with it, the column number 1 is heavily weighted for people that do well in a vegetarian diet. Column number 2 shows a high need for animal protein and fat. And the third column is a balanced column. When Mark did the survey, he did not score 1 point in the vegetarian column, okay? I think he had 2 points in the balanced column, and all other 50 points were in the middle, high need for animal protein column. I did a 180 and everything I believed, and I said, we have to go out and buy you a cow right now. And you had never seen that much rejoicing in a household over what's going to go on the grocery list. In 6 weeks, he lost 20 pounds, energy was back, stamina was back, mood was much improved, and the hunger had gone by the wayside, okay? So I totally changed the way I practice nutrition, like I said, about 15 years ago, and I've studied a lot in it since this, and have decided, as I've seen client after client after client, and including kids in our family, to shift and change. This is definitely the way you want to go. Now, as you can tell from that little illustration, I probably did not invent body typing or metabolic typing. In fact, it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. If you look at ancient Chinese writing, the subsequent practice of traditional Chinese medicine, huge emphasis on this. If you see a traditional Chinese medicine doctor and 7 people in a row go in to see him with headaches and a rash somewhere, all 7 of them will come out of the appointment with different remedies, different tinctures, different foods that they're supposed to eat, because they recognize that bodies are different. You need different things to bring them back into balance. India's Ayurvedic medicine, which dates back over 5,000 years, same thing. They have something called doshas, which look at the metabolic type, the different ways that you need to balance the different types of bodies. Greek and Egyptian physicians incorporate that as well. Hippocrates, which they pretty much consider the father of medicine, used a range of categories to diagnose his patients called humors, okay? And there was basically everyone that he taught, all the doctors that he raised up, followed that same kind of way of doing a non-one-size approach to practicing medicine. I mean, you're probably wondering if there's anybody in the last century or so that had worked with this. And there's lots of North Americans now, again, mainly doctors that have been looking at this. A couple of note would be one in 1956, Dr. Roger Williams, the actual discoverer of candidatic acid, one of the B vitamins, and the guy that named folic acid. He would be someone that you might even actually recognize if you see women's magazines, because he actually coined the term mesomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph, and the third one, which is totally escaping me at this moment, but the other one, okay? And thank you very much. And if you're looking at a popular women's magazine, they will more likely show it as an apple body type, a pear shape, and a banana shape, because that's basically how they end up when you're looking at them. So we have a long history of looking at people in individualized ways. More in the last, I would say, 50 years, what's happened. The reason people are returning to this, why nutritionists are starting to take a look at this again, why even like naturopaths and chiropractors, some of the complementary professions are looking at this, is because of their absolute frustration at not being able to get people healthy. So when people come in and they give them things to do, and half of your population does something and gets better, and half of your population does exactly the same thing and doesn't get better, it starts to force you to look at what is going on underneath this. What else needs to happen in order for help people be at their maximum health? I'm going to wrap this section up with a little quote by a fellow that's actually taking his PhD in nutritional sciences with a concentration in biochemical and molecular nutrition. He says, "I do not believe that everyone has the same nutritional needs. I personally do best when I eat a diet rich in animal products. The body, however, has no respect for government guidelines or any person's theory of nutritional superiority. Instead, its appetite for nutrition is determined by its molecular and physiological needs at any given moment, on any given day, according to the many factors of the environment, circumstance, and the many biochemical idiosyncrasies of the individual that it must face." So we're basically looking at the fact that every single one of you sitting here has a different dietary needs based on their DNA, based on your makeup. And I'm going to pass around here. I think it's here, or it might actually be in that back. Jack, there's a laminated little picture in that bag there. I'm going to pass it around. In 2008, Time Magazine did a full big section spread on basically what was their scientific invention of the year, their product of the year, okay? And what it was a retail DNA test, okay? 2008 invention of the year. You could take a little swab off the inside of your cheek, send it off, pay $400, and you would get back 11 little, not lady or a picture like this, but all the information around that I'm going to pass around in a minute, that based on your basically human genome project basis, they're looking at what is your DNA saying. And what's fascinating to me about this, because now we actually have the science to back what Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine have been saying for thousands of years, we actually can look through this and see that we have a genetic propensity to carry weight in certain places. We have a genetic propensity to be lactose intolerant. Some of us have a genetic propensity to have trouble with caffeine. You know, so all around the side of this lady, you'll see I've kind of highlighted a few of them that happen to be talked about tonight. But we actually are wired to have different things happening within us, have different responses to food, different responses to stress, and we can actually figure out what that is and fuel that with a diet and a lifestyle that supports that. You have significant improvements in energy, in mental clarity, in mood, and in the ability to retain a healthy weight. So taking a look at your forms, you guys all finished them? Stick up your hand if you are the first column. Do I have any what are called S body types in the room? 1, 2. There's almost hardly any hybridity. This is my body type, okay? They're usually Indian, as in India descent. People have a long history of vegetarian diet. I have no idea why. I'm Irish and English, but some of them just have genetic mix-ups, not mix-ups, but just combinations that they give that. How about the middle column? How many have your primary number of points in the middle column? Okay, so I've got put it to P's. All right. And then assume the rest are balanced? Okay, so hands up, I'm assuming balanced, right? If you're balanced, put your hand up if you are closest to the first column, to the primary column, or if you're closest to the second column. So if you're closest to the first one, put your hand up. If your second number is that. Okay, so we'll pay attention to with that. And the other guys obviously close to the middle number to P, right? Okay, what these columns are is, how many of you guys are taking biology or have taken biology in high school? I got a few of them? Okay, so basically what we're looking at is several different systems in your body, all right? The first system is your autonomic nervous system, whether you are more right brain or left brain. Parasympathetic being right brain, sympathetic being left brain. And that's what these stand for, okay? So sympathetic, parasympathetic, and balance. Now, you all have those things working in your head. Like, nobody is just right brain, okay? You have left brain things that turn on and off different systems in your body. Everyone has them. It's more so on a continuum, where do you fall? Where are you most heavily landing with those factors? And how it manifests in yourself. And again, these are somewhat stereotypical, so don't think, oh my goodness, I don't quite fit that column even knowing those numbers, okay? With these guys, these are the left brains of the world. These are the type A, and I'm describing myself so I can make as much fun as possible. Type A, anal retentive, the ones whose rooms are immaculate, their closets are white shirts, blue shirts, yellow shirts. Shoes are labeled in the box, you know, in there. You know where everything is. Their office, they can lay their hand on anything in any given minute. They are very, they're problematic if they're not feeling right, okay? They can tend to get a little judgmental. They can tend to be a little self-righteous. We think we're right, but it's often because we are, okay? The middle column, parasympathetic, right brain. Usually creative in some form or other, arts, dance, writing, you know, athletics, whatever, but they have an ability to be pretty easygoing. This category often makes great counselors. My husband was a pastor for 30 years. I was a social worker, so you can't not, it's not that you have to be that to be in the helping profession, okay? But basically, they tend to be the person in the dorm who everybody goes to when they've got a problem. They'll be the ones staying up till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, helping someone go through a hard time, okay? They also can tend to be quite lazy if they're not feeling right. They tend to procrastinate. They tend to put off their projects until the last minute. I see chuckles. This is resonating, okay? So basically, it's a body type that is generally easygoing, healthily, happily, all those things, but they too have to watch how they fuel. If, like Mark, they're eating too many grains and sugars, and I'm going to expound that in a minute, what happens is that easygoing nature shifts, tends to slide into procrastination, tends to turn into apathy. People just aren't quite as on the ball as they should be. The balanced combination here, again, you'll see some of yourself in both of those characteristics. You'll be paying attention and go, oh yeah, that resonates for me. I'm a little bit of this, I'm a little bit of that. And how you feel and how you conduct your life fits more in a balanced model. Now the reason that I have this little pie chart up here, you would think by the time I've drawn these 4,000 times in a week, I would actually get them a little bit more even. But draw them yourself, okay, and make them into even 6. So what the dietitian previously was talking about, the kinds of categories of food that we all need. We still need that. Body typing doesn't discount that, okay? Everyone needs protein, nuts and seeds and legumes and turkey and fish and all those kind of things. Everyone needs carbohydrates, and by that I mean vegetables, grains, fruits. Everyone needs healthy fats, butter, olive oil, nuts, avocados, all those kind of things. What body typing really does is it gives you a fuel mix for your plate that gives you the most absolute energy and stamina and mental clarity of probably whatever you would have experienced previously, right? So it does make a significant difference in that. S-types, these are guys that are a few that were tend more towards a vegetarian body type, obviously still need protein, just like everyone else does, okay? The difference is S-types do much better on things like legumes. We do better on hummus, we do better on some nuts and seeds. When I roast a chicken in our house, nobody even tries to take the chicken breast. It's mine, okay? The other guys get the fattier drumsticks and thighs and all those kind of things because they do better on that. My youngest is 15 now. She takes exactly after her dad. She couldn't be more protein body type. She's in about 16 different sports. She's, built like a Mack truck, really solid, but very, toned and all that kind of stuff. But you just don't try to move her out of the goal in soccer because she's not going anywhere, okay? She's just next to me at the supper table, and when I'm scraping off every bit of skin off of my chicken, she's going, oh, Mom, can you eat that? Can I have that? Shh, down she goes, okay? Much higher need for fat and protein. You want to fuel that way. So these guys need lighter meats. We tend to like the white fish and, chicken breast, that kind of thing, all right? These guys obviously also need protein, and this is where the myth of the red meat being something you should be weeding out of your diet. I mean, when I told my husband that we need to go get a cow, it seriously made his heart almost happier, not than anything we've ever done, but a lot of things, okay? We currently have half a bison in our freezer, half a cow, and half a lamb, all right? We eat a lot of what is called purine lidl, but in our family, we eat a lot of what is called purine amino acids, okay? So when the dietitian was talking about the different kinds of protein you can get. Protein is basically amino acid. Those are the building blocks of protein. If you are a weight trainer or you're in an athletic program, you'll often take different types of amino acids in your bodybuilding shakes or your protein powders, that kind of thing. If you are this body type, you won't function at optimal wellness if you don't have animal protein in your diet. And over the course of the last 10, 15 years, I've had a number of vegetarians come to my practice. And one in particular I'm thinking of right now, she came, the other charts and intake forms that I give my clients to fill out, she was off the charts and everything. She had high blood pressure, her cholesterol was through the roof, she was about 80 pounds overweight, she had skin issues and arthritis, and she was not a well lady. And so when she came in and I had her fill out this form, she had about 35 points in the middle column, strong need for animal protein. So I said to her, okay, so why are you vegetarian? Is it for religious reasons? What made you decide to do that? And she said, oh, no. I've been doing it for about 20 years. It's much healthier for you. I was very kind, and good, but I felt like saying to her, okay, you've been doing this for 20 years, this is not working, okay? So think, if you're not well, something's wrong with what you're eating. Like that fuel actually grows your body. So if you're growing a body that's not working for you, then you need to go back and look at the fuel mix. So we switched her out, gradually moved her on to some animal protein. Again, the same thing happened, lost the weight, energy picked up, all those kind of things. So this body type has to fit pretty much every day some kind of red meat or lamb. There's a few vegetables that have three amino acids, like if you like asparagus and cauliflower, certain other legumes, chickpeas, that will have a little bit of that amino acid. And it doesn't mean you have to go to the cafeteria and tuck into a 25-ounce steak, okay? It just means you need some spaghetti sauce with some beef in it, that when everyone else around you at the table is saying, should you be eating that burger? Should you swap that out for like a veggie burger or a chicken burger? You go, no, actually, nutritionist that I'm supposed to be eating red meat once a day. I'm eating this burger, okay? So you need to make sure that you include that in small amounts on a regular basis. This body type is just happy because they get to do all of that, okay? They do the vegetarian protein is fine, animal protein is fine, and they just have to kind of pay attention to how they feel. Generally, they still do some red meat, but less amounts than this body type does. Everybody needs vegetables, and I'm trying to remember, because when I watched the video that you guys have previously watched, I think she was pretty good at emphasizing vegetables. I can't say enough about vegetables, all right? It's the primary thing I try to get clients in my practice, kids, teens, whatever, start eating them on a regular basis. Vegetables obviously have vitamins and minerals, but they have something in them called phytochemicals, which is a Greek word for plant, phyto. And they do the most amazing things in our body. Like, they were only discovered in about the 1980s by the American Cancer Institute, and they actually do the same kind of things in your body that they do in vegetables when they're in your garden. So think, if you grow a garden, if you plant a carrot seed, you generally don't get a tomato. Okay, one of the things that phytochemicals are really good at doing is making sure the DNA replicates properly. If you want to be, 55 and have great skin, you want it to replicate properly, not to start making wrinkles and all sorts of things like that. So vegetables help with that. Vegetables also have the ability to protect you from the sun's radiation. Like, unless you don't water your garden, your plants don't get cancer. They don't develop those kind of things that happen with the sun's rays. So again, they have the ability to protect your body from the sun. The third really important thing is that they also have the ability, one of the only things that they've discovered so far, that if you have a cell that's mutating or a cell that's cancerous and is going to reproduce, phytochemicals from fruits and vegetables actually have the ability to cross the cell wall and either, correct the DNA or blow the sucker up. Okay, so they actually have the ability to catch things ahead of time. Lycopene in tomatoes, all the different kinds of names, the types of things that are in carrots. All of those different phytochemicals are there to protect your body. They act like Pac-Man in your body. Okay, gobbling up free radicals. They do a really good job of all those things. So each day, make sure you're including a variety of colors. The colors actually are the effect of the different types of phytochemicals. So get some red ones, get some purple grapes, get some orange carrots, get a red pepper, get some cucumber, all those kind of things. Even if you are having a crappy snack, like a really bad for you junk food that you really know you shouldn't be eating very much of, grab a half a cucumber with it, grab a bag of snap peas, have something with it that will balance it out, and those things will be helpful for that. So lots of vegetables, okay? The third thing that everyone eats is fat. This is really bad, guys. Again, pretend that's equal to 6, okay? So fat, again, this guy's draw little dotted lines. We don't like fat very much, so we just need a small amount of it, okay? But basically, again, that's looking at avocados, nuts and seeds, olive oil, butter. Please don't eat margarine. I think that the dietitian mentions that in the previous video as well. You want to eat things that have a long history of use, things that are real food, things that are as close as possible to their original form. So butter is way more close to that, been used for way longer than things like margarine and that kind of thing. So eat real food. So fats includes, like I said, nuts. It includes some seeds. I'm losing power here, but nuts, seeds, huge amount of olive oil, and also a huge amount of coconut oil, okay? It was in disrepute for a while. The coconut oil is amazing. If you guys are, some of you are doing your own cooking in dorms or whatever, it has a very high smoke point. It doesn't turn carcinogenic when you're cooking, sauteing, stir fries or whatever. It's great if you guys are either athletes or any of you that are trying to lose weight. A teaspoon of coconut oil in your smoothie in the morning is a great idea. So a lot of medium chain fatty acids that really help with your brain functioning. So coconut oil is great. These guys here, have to make sure you have enough fat. Anytime I have a pea body type that comes in for weight loss issues, the first thing they tell me is, oh no, I cut out fat like 6 years ago. Like I don't eat fat, nothing. No fat, low fat dairy, butter's not touched my lips, and I eat dry popcorn. I just go, what a horrible existence. Like, why would you want to be doing that? But basically, the other problem is that fat does a wide range of things in your body. It keeps your moods balanced. This is why you have cranky people who are not eating any fat, okay? So it keeps your moods balanced. It actually keeps your skin healthy, your hair healthy. It balances your hormones. Those of you that suffer from PMS, those of you that had girlfriends who suffer from PMS, tell them to start eating more fat, okay? And the good kinds like cod liver oil from salmon. Actually, I'll digress here for a minute. My oldest kid is 26. My oldest 3 are boys. And when the oldest was in university taking, psychology and stuff, he came home one day, had his girlfriend, and he came home and he said, Mom, he said, I'm pretty sure she's manic depressive. And obviously as a social worker, I work with lots of people who are manic depressive, so that's not in any way a slam on that particular, mental disability. I'm just saying that was his take on reading his psychology text and becoming a psychiatrist in a day, 100 level psych course, okay? I said, no, it's PMS. He said, what the heck is that? None of the girls in our house have PMS because they all eat really well. So I told him, I explained it. He said, how soon can she see you? Okay, she came in, got her fixed up, she was good to go, all right? So definitely make sure that you've got a specialist take up that. And for this body type, this means that if I am putting the butter on the peas at supper, you won't even see it. If Mark is putting the butter on the peas at supper, they are swimming in butter, okay? So definitely need a little bit higher intake of that. Grains, and in the grains category, I'm kind of including grains, fruit, carbs, okay? Lumping that together. Carbohydrates means things like, obviously rices, quinoa, pastas, bagels, bread, all those kind of things. The fruit I lump in there because fruit too is quickly released in your body, releases blood sugar. So for most of us, we need some of that each day. This body type actually has a high need for it, okay? So every time I eat, I have some kind of grains, usually sprouted grain, toast in the morning, or a wrap, or like brown rice at supper, or whole grain pasta, organic pasta. So I always have some kind of a grain. I have a very slow metabolism. It burns fuel quite slowly. That means that that's fine with carbohydrate. This body type has generally, and this is what kind of throws peas off, especially if they have extra weight. They go, oh no, I have a really slow metabolism, and I've got this roll here I can't get rid of. I say, actually no, you have very fast metabolism. You actually are feeding it toothpick fuels. I just brought a book out in the fall, and it's entitled Overweight Kids in the Toothpick World, because we feed ourselves too many fuels that are burned up very rapidly. This body type in general keeps shoving carbohydrates in, toast for breakfast with jam on it, big sandwich at lunch with maybe only a little protein on it, big plate of pasta for supper. The snacks are, nachos or just, corn chips and salsa, all day putting in this very rapidly burning toothpick fuel with a metabolism that's like a roaring furnace. And so you're feeling great after that toast till about 10 in the morning. And then you drop down, you're in the middle of a class, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna either fall asleep, or I'm just gonna zone totally on what this person is saying, or really cranky, blood sugar levels are dropping. You need to throw something in that is not a toothpick fuel. That's why you need an egg in the morning, you need yogurt in your smoothie, you need at least nut butter on the toast, something that slows down that fuel. So these guys in particular, that's usually what contributes to weight gain in this body type, is an abundance of carbohydrates and not enough protein. They really need to watch that. These guys, again, obviously would have some grains of carbohydrates as well. The little blank spots, this one here usually needs extra vegetables. We're just huge fans of vegetables, okay? My smoothies in the morning would probably make, well they do, my pea body types in my house are revolted by my smoothies. They have so many greens in them, but have it be known, they actually would be welcome to come and have some with me. This one, again, balanced. I would tell bees, when they say, what should I do this last column? I say, trial and error. Try 2 or 3 days when you have a little more protein with supper, and then there's 4 things you want to monitor for after a meal, okay? Number 1, if you're bloated, if something you ate in that meal didn't work. So an hour to an hour and a half after a meal, take a mental checklist of these 4 things, okay? Bloating, something's wrong with the meal. If you were just totally going to go play tennis after supper or go for a run, and about an hour and a half after you ate, all you can do is sit and flip channels, okay, and something happened to physical stamina, not a good combination. Third thing, you have a paper to write, and you had tons of creative thought happening and ideas before you ate. Afterwards, you just mental lethargy kicked in and you couldn't even run the name of your roommate. Wrong, fuel meds, okay? And then the third thing, moods. When we eat food, it should actually energize us, it should pick up our mood, it should not plunge into despair. So if you were feeling pretty good, and barring some external circumstances that you've heard about a death in a family or whatever, but other than that, you should feel better and have an elevated mood after you eat. So with this group, play around with this amount. Do you feel better when you have a little more protein with your supper or your lunch? Or do you feel better when you have a little bit of extra rice, pasta, a little bit, half of a baked potato, that kind of a thing? For this column, I can tell you right now, it's going to be protein, all right? And then this one will probably be vegetables. This body type, when you sit down to your supper table, you should have probably a third of your plate protein, okay? And if you're living on a student budget and you're trying to eat at the cafeteria or you're cooking yourself, that means that even if you're going to eat body type, you're going to have to extend it with vegetable sources of protein. That means making chili with some beans and some meat, okay? It means having, chicken thigh, but maybe having some hummus with it, like always trying to balance it out so that you kind of cost-wise are doing that. But some of it has to be animal protein, and it will be a higher percentage of your plate. Actually, what you want to do is you want to befriend an S and take half of their S, to have their protein. So if we're standing at an all-inclusive, or we're somewhere where breakfast is included with the restaurant, we're walking through, getting the eggs, I'm getting the fruit and a whole grain toast, and maybe I'll do a scrambled egg or something like that. Mark's following me going, get your bacon, get your bacon, get your bacon. We sit on the table, he eats all my bacon, okay? So basically, befriend someone who's the opposite body type as you, and it's a good way to eat more cheaply, okay? So that is how you are, as how you should fuel. Now, how much time do I have, Jack?
You've got about another 10 minutes
okay.
total.
So this also impacts how you are, okay? It's not just in your fuel that is different. It affects you in the way that you see the world. It impacts you in the way that you should be exercising. It impacts you in how you should be getting lots of sleep, that kind of thing. Like when you did that questionnaire, there's a few bizarre questions in there, like how you feel after eating certain foods, or do people like you because you're friendly, or they follow you because you're a leader, or because they're here. There's a number of different things. That we actually have different expressions of this DNA in how we live. So again, these guys, we tend to be much more aloof. We tend to have smaller amounts of friends that are a bit tighter and closer. It's not people don't think you're friendly. You just kind of have this limit of how much you can have of people in your life, and then you're done with them, okay? And you need to go away for a retreat or something for the weekend, okay? These guys, like my husband and my two kids that are P body types, we would have every person they know living in our house with us, okay? And we often do, okay? They invite us randomly for dinner, for whatever. So very gregarious. Often the life of the party, like really do enjoy and thrive on having people around them. It actually energizes them. So personally, that way will often impact it. This body type, again, depending upon what your second number of points are, you'll tend to be in that category. Of these body types, these ones are almost always, like I said, very solid. Like it's, without being, I can usually just tell a whole group to stand up. Like I've worked with a number of sports teams. My third son, Joel, played university basketball. So I worked with his teams all the way up through high school. And what we would do is we literally, have them all do this, but even before they did this, I could have just said, you over there, you there. And you just can tell after a while, seeing how bodies are, which kind of the category they're in. I remember the first time I worked with his, I think it was his junior basketball team. And they headed off that night to the island for a tournament. They literally followed Joel around the Safeway store going, okay, your mom said I'm a pea. Like, what kind of snacks am I supposed to get? Oh yeah, okay, so pepperoni. He goes, pepperoni sticks, almonds, carrots, Oh, I'm an S, what should I do? Okay, you go get some whole grain crackers, do this, whatever. Their team kicked butt once they started doing body typing, because what ends up happening is you actually are fueling stamina-wise much better. What was happening before, and the highest level athlete I ever worked with was an NHL hockey player, Dean McCammon. He still plays for Senator, I think, Ottawa Senators now. And he came to me because he was playing for the Edmonton Eskimos, and they had hired him because of his speed. Okay, he's not a big guy, but he was very, very fast. So after he got in there, and he kind of knew what worked for him food-wise, but of course they had their own trainers and they had their own, dietitians and stuff. So they started him on carb loading. And he was like seriously stinking, okay? His speed was deteriorating, he was just very frustrated. We have a mutual friend, and his friend said, you need to go see Brenda, you gotta go talk to her about body typing. So of course he came in and he filled this out in extreme P. I said, okay, here's the deal, bud, you gotta go back to eat the steak before dinner. This whole pasta stuff is not working for you. So he said, okay, I'm gonna sneak steaks, and I'm gonna go give this a try. And I mean, he's not like a Wayne Gretzky, okay? But in my opinion, anyone who's still in the NHL after 12 years, and when I just checked his speed trials for the Senators the summer before they started this season, he was still one of the fastest guys on the team, okay? So that says a lot for figuring out how you need to fuel, eating for it, having the stamina, mental clarity, that kind of a thing. Also impacts you in relationships. So that means that one of the best things Mark and I ever did was figure out our body types, because I then understood that it wasn't like he just deliberately, would step over things on the stairs on the way up. He just didn't even actually see them. They don't register, okay? You have a different way of looking at things. Like I am, my closet could be out of, I don't know, Flair magazine or something, not because of the clothes in it, but because of the neatness of it. He feels like after 33 years of marriage, he's doing really well if the clothes are not piled, in a big pile when you first come in the room. They're actually kicked into the corner of the closet. And he's like, and I get it now. I'm going, this is good. This is better, okay? And so even with our kids, it's been really helpful because we know what they are. Doesn't mean you don't teach them how to clean a bathroom. You just know some of them are going to, do a little bit differently. And someone's idea of a clean room is going to be very different of what your idea of a clean room should be. When you plan to do your homework is a little bit different, okay? So you just need to understand that you're wired certain ways, accept it, and then work to the best of your ability and what you've got. I also often tell, if I'm working with younger kids, and again, I have a whole program with younger kids with weight loss, what'll happen is the parents will bring them in and they'll want to get these kids, like, okay, well, I'm going to get them to join the track team. And I'm like, okay, this is not a sprinter, okay? Like, you've got to work with what you are, okay? You have amazing muscles, you've got amazing ability. You need to go join a cross-country team, okay? Or start power walking with your parents. Like, don't set yourself up or your kids up someday for failure because you're trying to make them into something that they're not, okay? Work with what you are and just excel at that to the best. I remember I ran a half marathon a couple years ago, the Vancouver one, and at a certain point, the half and the full ran together in Stanley Park, okay? For 3 steps, I paced with the leader, okay, guy from Nairobi. Like, that's about it, and then he was just like gone, okay? I had often asked Mark if he wanted to join me running, and he'd go, I'm not really into running. I looked at that guy and I thought, why am I even bothering asking Mark to go for a run with me, okay? But what he does do is often P-body types, well, because they're so gregarious, they love team stuff. So he'll go down and run his butt off at a ball hockey game for like 2 hours straight, okay? Talking with the guys, go out with them or whatever, okay? It's just a whole solitary pursuit that you see on the cover of Runner's Magazine, a guy at the top of a mountain, by himself, communing with nature. Most Ps, that's not their favorite thing, okay? So work with what you are and go with that. The last 2 minutes, I'll just quickly wrap up and say, beyond this, there are lots of things that make a difference food-wise with any particular ailment or things you might have. As I said, I have people come with digestive issues, with underactive thyroid, with adrenal, they're stressed to the max, they can't sleep at night, they're having trouble falling asleep, their exams are really pushing them over the edge, that kind of a thing. All of those things have a food component, okay? It doesn't mean you don't see a doctor, it doesn't mean you don't see a counselor, any of those things. But you need to understand that if you're struggling with any of those issues, there's a food component. If your digestive system is not working well, a simple thing as adding a couple of shots of apple cider vinegar before your protein meal can help break down that protein, help it digest better. You won't have the gas and bloating that you have afterwards. There are some people who really do not do well on grains, whether it's the gluten part of it, whether it's the mix of the carbohydrates that are in it, and finding that out makes a significant difference in your life, your digestion, your health, your wellness, all those kind of things. A couple of other things that can be happening. I mentioned that hypoglycemic thing, where that drop middle of the morning or middle of the afternoon, where literally if you don't get something to eat like 2 seconds, you're going to die. Eating differently will impact that and fuel that. So no matter what you've got going on in your life, be prepared to spend a little bit of time, research on the internet, give me an email, whatever. Like, there are things you can do that you can use food. Food really is your best medicine, all right? It's what grows your body, you might as well grow it with. Yep.
Got a couple minutes. Questions? Sure.
Where would we go for the website? Like, which website can we go to maybe look into getting a blood test? Right? Yeah.
The dietary needs thing?
Yeah.
Oh, this thing. Actually, you know what? Right now, I think it's only available in the States. I don't know that it's coming to Canada yet, okay? But you can certainly, if you just get, if you Google something like personal, genome testing, they actually list the name of this one on here or not?
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I've actually looked this one up. If you Google this guy's name on here, as Anne or Jackie or whatever, get her name off of there, you'll probably pull up that one. Okay? Anything else? Anybody have any feedback or input or other questions? You good? Excellent. You're welcome to come up. I've got a couple of pictures up here. This one is a really amazing example of what happens when you eat whole foods and when you move into refined foods. A study that was done in the 1930s by a dentist. There's some shots of indigenous people groups who were eating how they always have in their villages, their mouth and teeth and what happens there, and ones that had gone off to the big city, even for only 6 months or a year and changed like that. So food makes a huge difference. So we'll come take a look at that. And if you have other questions, feel free to come up after. Okay.
How can they contact you?
My email on that thing? No. You know, it's, my website is, you can contact me from my website, kidsinbalance.net. Okay, you can go there. Or,
Send me an email.
I'll send them an email.
And I'll put it up on the announcements section of the my course site. Okay, so I'll send it in. Okay, again, let's give Brenda a hand. Okay, that's our approach to nutrition. That's terribly short. We have spent the last hour and a half kind of looking at nutrition, and people spend a lifetime studying it. So in some sense, I always feel guilty at this part because we've done it too quickly. I hope some of you consider the option of moving into a profession of nutrition. The first presenter on the videotape is a dietitian, and Brenda, yours is holistic nutrition. So some of you ought to consider. I know some of you, this is a pet hobby that you're into. You like nutrition. Consider it as a profession. I think it's got some real benefits to it, and again, as we move toward more holistic medicine, less pharmaceutical approaches to interventions, I think just like our field of human kinetics and our physical activity, I think nutrition is a whole other area. It'll be a growing field as we move forward. Why do I have that up there? Okay, two things, just to assignments that I want to add on to this. First one is your health journal. I want you to track in your health journal how many fruits and vegetables you consume daily. So you're doing this, you're doing it twice a week. All I'm asking you to do is the day you fill out that journal, how many fruits and vegetables did we take in? Serving size, remember what the serving sizes were? Half a cup.
We include juice.
All right. Juice is a tough one to measure in serving size. If you make your own juice, then it's easier to do because you know what goes into it. But
it's all natural, like apple juice,
yeah, the problem with some of that is we don't know how many apples went into that cup of juice. And as a former apple farmer, I know that it varies apple to apple. I have a misspent youth. So anyway, what I do want you to do is I want you to track fruits and vegetables in your health journal now for each time you enter in, right? So that becomes as of this next week, okay? Second thing not listed there that I will point out, the next quiz coming up, I think it's quiz from chapter 7. That I'm going to give you 2 weeks to complete. All right, so it'll go right through spring break, right to the next Tuesday. So just be aware of that. Last thing is your nutritional assessment. This is one of the health assessments that we wanted to do in this class. You've done 2. The next one we want you to do is nutritional assessment, and we want you to use the Diet Analysis Plus software program. This program is only available in the library, sad to say. Although I never underestimate people's ability to get a hold of software, so I'm not going to say, but it's the Diet Analysis Plus software. That's the software I want you to use. What I want you to do is, I want you to create 2 days. And notice I said create. These aren't actual days. They're just 2 fictitious days. The first one is a fantasy day. All the food you love. All right? So what would be your favorite breakfast? Your favorite lunch? Your favorite supper? Right? Now, because it's fictitious, the awkward part is not the food choice. The awkward part is the amounts. Roughly what amounts would you eat that in? All right? So don't go wild on me, all right? And say that I love anchovy pizza, I'm going to eat a whole one. Give me a break. Most of you won't. So figure out roughly how much of that you would eat, even in a fantasy day. But you're choosing that fantasy day purely on taste. All right? So that's the first day. Enter that day in. You'll notice the reports I want you to print on that day are source analysis, intake and daily recommended intake goals, my pyramid analysis, and macronutrient ranges. So you're going to print 4 reports for each day. The second day I want you is now a nutritious day. However you perceive that term nutritious, what would a nutritious breakfast be like for you? What would a nutritious lunch or a nutritious supper? Okay, so those 3 things, breakfast, lunch, supper, figure that out, choose a nutritious supper. Again, in the amounts you would eat. Okay? Same reports. So I've got 4 reports for fantasy day, 4 reports for nutritious day. One last page I'd like you to write is, now analyze the similarities and differences. In half a page, tell me what the similarities were between those 2 days. Where were they more similar than maybe you expected, but at least where do the reports show that the similarities were? And then look at what are the differences between the 2 days in the analysis. Okay? So roughly, you have 9 pages. This will come out as a 9-page project. You only have to write 1 page. Questions? The only thing is, just to keep us on track, that's going to be due the Wednesday we're back. All right, after spring break. So I think that's the 2nd. Is that right? Yeah.
So you can just put like, if guidance, like, for certain stuff.
Exactly.
And just like, I can't like have.
No, I don't need to know what it is. I just need course or the number of circles. Any other questions? If there are no questions, have a good spring break. Oh, sorry, hang on, just for a second. Jared.
There's a Starfield concert in the gym right now. It's a fundraiser for Haiti, so if you want to come out, it's free. So they have like snacks.
For all the global
No. What it's going to do is analyze it in a number of different ways. The first one, that source analysis, just tells me if we do. Yeah, exactly. So that's all of the
Yeah, like I've never had a problem with
once you enter the and just go to our report section, and you'll see more than
Because I like
makes sense? Good.
with the non-having someone come to populate your life register. You love it, so you still can have it, but you don't need maybe this larger and you have this smaller amounts, okay? And definitely keep the vegetable, this is a strong vegetable content as well. So yeah, so it's kind of, it's basically, it gives you a fuel mix, like, are you missile, are you regular, are you a combination, you're definitely a combination, okay? So make sure you've got lots of whole grains, like, I don't put whole grains, like brown rice, or quinoa, that's what you're like, whole grains, but don't go strictly there, you gotta get chicken thighs, okay? Well, excellent.
Good.
Okay, fine. You know what, I'm just getting it reprinted. I will by Friday, I can give you a contact information if you want.
Yeah, that'd be good.